We've done historically in Florida. We've got a good work program. We work efficiently, but
The governor of Florida shocks everyone with Miami's real estate market. That sun-soaked paradise where people were supposed to print money just by owning a condo. Except now it's turning into a financial horror show. And Governor DeSantis is pointing fingers at everyone but himself. Property taxes that jumped 48% since 2020, insurance premiums hitting $4,400 annually, and a governor who's blaming government policy for the very mess his own policies helped create. What's really causing Miami's implosion? The answer is way more twisted than you think. It reveals a system so fundamentally broken, it makes the rules of monopoly look like a Harvard economics course. Miami was supposed to be the promised land. No state income tax, beaches, sunshine, tax policies designed by someone who believed wealth just manifests out of thin air if you squint hard enough at a palm tree. From 2021 through 2024, people flooded in by the hundreds of thousands. Remote workers from New York and Chicago wired down payments sight unseen. Retirees cashed out of expensive markets. Everyone wanted a piece of paradise. The numbers looked bulletproof. Miami-Dade property values exploded. The county recorded 34,520 residential transactions in a single year. Total dollar volume hit $962 million in January 2025 alone. The luxury market went completely bananas, with $1 million plus condo sales surging 79%. Cash ruled everything. 36.8% of all purchases closed with zero financing. Developers couldn't pour concrete fast enough. Construction permits multiplied like rabbits on espresso. The governor held press conferences celebrating Florida's economic miracle, pointing to the numbers as proof that low taxes and deregulation worked. Nobody wanted to admit the party was ending, but it was. Reality showed up with a sledgehammer, and its name was property taxes. Those bills that feel less like civic duty and more like ransom notes from your local government. In Miami, the typical homeowner's property tax bill jumped 48% since before the pandemic, rising to about $4,400 annually. That's $4,400 every single year just for the privilege of not having your home seized by the government. Miami wasn't alone. Tampa saw bills surge over 56%, Jacksonville nearly 60%. Across Florida, property taxes are up an average of 60% within 5 years. That's not an adjustment. That's systemic mugging. And these increases are hitting the same houses people have lived in for decades. Your home didn't get better. Your neighborhood didn't become Beverly Hills. But somehow the government decided you should pay penthouse prices for your 3-bedroom ranch. The property tax system in Florida is supposed to be fair. It funds schools, roads, firefighters, all the things that make civilization slightly less Lord of the Flies. But it's also archaic and complex enough to make filing your taxes while drunk look simple. Miami's current property tax rate sits at roughly 2% of fair market value. Downtown, it's even higher. Property taxes make up 18% of county revenue, 17% of municipal revenue, and as much as 60% of school district revenue. Without them, fire departments close, schools shutter, roads crumble, and the local government collapses. Enter Governor DeSantis, stage right, with a plan so audacious it's either genius or dreamed up by someone whose personality is a Monster Energy drink. In March 2025, he proposed a $1,000 property tax rebate for every homesteaded property in Florida, over 5.1 million of them. Sounds great, right? Wrong. House Speaker Daniel Perez called it a political stunt. Miami-Dade County alone would lose $327 billion in annual revenue, 19% of everything generated. Perez rejected it. DeSantis doubled down, calling for a special session. Lawmakers refused. The whole thing played out like a reality show no one asked for. Then DeSantis floated eliminating property taxes entirely. Yes, eliminating them. Florida would be the only U.S. region with no state income tax and no property tax. It's so radical, it makes North Dakota's oil experiment look conservative, and that plan failed spectacularly. Florida collects around 40/43s to $55 billion annually from property taxes. That funds everything: schools, police, roads, libraries, parks. Eliminate that revenue, and you have to replace it. DeSantis suggested using sales tax revenue. Problem: sales tax is volatile. It crashes during recessions. Property tax is stable and predictable. To replace property tax entirely, Florida would need to raise its sales tax to 12%, the highest in the nation. That would hammer low-income families who spend more on taxable goods. The Florida First tax relief would become a regressive disaster, shifting the burden from wealthy homeowners to working families buying groceries and clothes. Other proposals floated include charging newcomers a $20,000 residency fee, raising hotel and rental car taxes, or using budget surpluses to fund local governments. None of them solve the fundamental problem. You can't eliminate a major revenue source without catastrophic consequences. DeSantis claims property taxes are oppressive, that homeowners pay rent to the government. He's framing it as a fight for freedom, but critics disagree. Democrat Christine Hunchofsky says property taxes are one of the smallest parts of the affordability crisis. The real problem? Property insurance. She's right. While DeSantis rails about taxes, Miami property taxes have actually decreased year over year, even as insurance premiums have exploded. Miami-Dade appraiser Pedro Regalado urged governments to lower taxes, noting property value growth slowed to 8.5% in 2025 from 10.7% the year before. He says the market is stabilizing, but insurance doesn't fit DeSantis' narrative. Taxes do. So he points at property taxes while the real crisis, insurance, burns the housing market behind him. Insurance costs have made homeownership unaffordable. Condo assessments after Surfside devastated owners. Climate risk has made neighborhoods uninsurable. Meanwhile, Florida's taxable property value has already been reduced by $889 billion through Save Our Homes caps and $249 billion through homestead exemptions. The system already favors longtime homeowners. Seniors pay a fraction of what new buyers pay, even for identical homes on the same street. It's similar to California's Prop 13, where older owners pay 1970s tax rates while young buyers pay 50 times more. Florida's not there yet, but it's heading that way. Developers are split. Some, like Phil Goodman, say it'll flood Florida with buyers. Others, like Jill Herzberg, call it regressive, warning the poor will get crushed while the rich save. In truth, DeSantis is blaming government policy for a collapse his own policies helped inflate. His administration celebrated unchecked growth, promoted Florida as a tax haven, and ignored infrastructure. Now that insurance costs, condo fees, and affordability are crushing the market, he's pointing at property taxes. The irony? He wants to remove the one stable revenue source and replace it with volatility, calling it freedom while creating chaos. And when the next hurricane hits, or schools need funding, or fire departments need gear, no one knows where the money comes from, not even him. Any property tax elimination requires a constitutional amendment with 60% voter approval. If passed, cities and counties lose billions, services would be slashed, or new taxes imposed. The trade-off for tax-free homeownership would be crumbling infrastructure and underfunded schools. Miami's real estate market is already imploding. Foreclosures up, sales down, insurance unaffordable. Blaming property taxes is a distraction, political theater to hide a deeper crisis. A housing market built on speculation, cheap money, and now collapsing under climate risk and unsustainable costs. So if you're sitting in Miami staring at a $4,400 tax bill, appeal your assessment, claim your exemptions, and brace yourself. Because whether DeSantis wins this tax war or not, Florida's housing market is heading for turbulence. Stay tuned and subscribe to Roofline Report so you don't miss what happens when the next wave hits.